Ipswich Town 1, Manchester United 1. Ruben Amorim in charge of Manchester United for the first time. Mark Donaldson alongside Luis Miguel Echegaray. And I bet he thought this was easy after 81 seconds. Amorim, they took the lead, but then they were pegged back. We'll get into the minutiae of the game shortly, but what did Ruben Amorim learn that he maybe didn't already know about Manchester United's LME?
I think that he's going to go to his nearest Boots and buy some hair dye for his hair, because it might gray up after a few months, realizing the obstacles he's going to have to deal with Manchester United. But no, look, listen, obviously he knows very well what this mountain is to get Manchester United back to where the club deserves to be. At least that's what they think. But it was a game that was as advertised, I think. A newly promoted team, very well coached by McKenna, against Ruben Amorim's first time. He's only had 2 matches, 2 days, full days of training, players coming back from an international window, and he knew that, this wasn't going to be easy. Though the start was something to discuss, and I know we'll talk about it in a second. But I think overall, it was a performance that was exactly as advertised, and a manager that's entering a completely different environment. You're not in Primera Liga anymore, Ruben Amorim. You're in the Premier League, and it's going to be much tougher than perhaps he even thought.
Before we get to the opening goal, let's talk about the United setup. Most of us thought, well, that's the way he plays, 3 at the back, and that's what he did. But it was Mazraoui as the right centre-back playing alongside Evans and De Ligt. And I thought in the first half in general, and I know we're skipping the goals, but in the first half in general, after United scored the opening goal, Ipswich kind of worked out, hey, we can get more bodies in that central midfield area and kind of overrun United in there. So that might be something going forward that he may have to adjust. And opposition managers may feel, you know what, if they're going 3 at the back and none of the centre-backs move forward into midfield, there may be an opportunity for teams to go 3-5-2 or 4-5-1 against them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think the entire conversation, or at least most of it, leading up to this match, and it was obviously about Ruben Amorim and his new era with Manchester United, and rightly so. But we do have to give credit to McKenna here, because he saw an opportunity like you saw, specifically because Manchester United scored so early. But to your point, they realized, well, look, we have to now disrupt what's still something in the works, which is completely press. Liam Delap was an absolute nightmare for Mazraoui, to the point where it became physical in one point, because he wanted to let him know that he was there and his team was going to be there. I thought Omari Hutchinson was wonderful as well, regardless of his goal, his deflected goal, but it was a wonderful shot. But it's also the way he helped the team push. And I think that that's going to be something very interesting for Amorim to discover as he develops his formation, specifically when he puts players in unique situations. I mean, there were people that I thought were brilliant, or at least very, very good. Amad Diallo really impressed me today, because he was handed the responsibility of covering that entire wing. But to your point, Mazraoui also had to deal with the fact that he was no longer just that man going up top on the wing back. He actually had to defend as a center back. So there's things that he has to figure out. But again, full credit to Ipswich Town, because they really wanted to disrupt something that was clearly something in the works, because Amorim clearly hasn't figured it out yet. But regardless of that, I think the most important thing, MD, is that Manchester United didn't lose this game, because he really wants to just make sure that he elevates that confidence. And when you look at the table and you look at Ipswich Town, who are 18th, but with that point as well, puts them even with Wolves, Leicester City a point away from them. So all of this matters. But overall, as we mentioned, exactly what it says on the tin for this game.
Yeah, I think regardless of the 3 that came up in the league positions, I think Ipswich are the best of the 3 so far, and
Definitely.
probably the best footballing team. And don't try and play out from the back and give it away. That's for Southampton to worry about. So the opening goal. We've spoken a lot over the last 2-3 weeks since Amorim was appointed, and even before, when we knew that he was going to be appointed, as to what's he going to do with the wing-backs. And what he did at Sporting, a lot of the time he kind of played 2 attack-minded players as wing-backs. Some of the time he played 1 defensive player and 1 attacking player. And this time it was Amad Diallo. And he had a 1-against-2. He was definitely the underdog, but he zipped by the pair of the defenders and then put a great ball in. And it was such that Diogo Dalot was coming in at the far post and was an option if the cross was kind of deeper. yet it goes near post. And Rashford's made a great run. We know he prefers to come in from the left-hand side, but do you think that Amorim will find merits in Marcus Rashford maybe playing through the middle like he did today, because he took his goal well?
Yeah, I think early in games, he's going to find adjustments, and he's going to find fortune. Marcus Rashford is going to enjoy early in the games. But I think what you're going to see a lot of is teams are going to figure that out more and more, because Manchester United were trying to do that throughout the game, right? Using the wing-backs to play a quick 1-2 between the midfield and back out in order to just maximize that width. But as the game developed, Ipswich Town were better off it. That's why Xerxes came on. That's why Højlund came on. So they had to kind of, motivate and rotate. But the opening goal, I think you're going to see that a lot, where Amorim's team is just going to come, look, we're going to go 150% from the get-go and see where we can exploit some weaknesses. And I think Rashford is going to enjoy that. But as the game develops, to your point, specifically the same thing with Alejandro Garnacho, who found himself more comfortable as the game widened and he became more a left side winger. I think that you're going to see more issues as the game develops for Manchester United. I mean, look, Marcus Rashford scored his goal, and that's going to build confidence for him, but he definitely lost a lot more attention as the game developed. But take nothing away from the opening goal. Amad Diallo specifically, my God, what a run. It was a wonderful way to begin the Amorim era for sure.
The klaxon has gone off because you cannot give any more than 100%. So anybody like you who's just said 150% or I'm going to give 110%, now that's a yellow card. And I know VAR was down for a period and it can't review yellow cards, but just watch it. No more than 100% when it comes.
Can I give you 180 next time? All right, fine.
You can't give me anything apart from that. Right. Now, in this game, Onana showed he's one of the best shot stoppers in the game. Yeah. And he produces a brilliant save to deny Liam Delap. And it wasn't his first save of the game. But were you surprised at how easy Ipswich found chance creation for a spell in this game and how busy Onana was?
Yeah, definitely. But again, it goes to the point of McKenna and how brilliant it was for him to be like, let's just press and let's disrupt. And the moment they disrupted, again, Hutchinson is why it's important to factor him here. The wide men here, as soon as they capitalized on those loose balls, boom, you just attacked. I thought it was a fantastic save from Onana. Take nothing away from him because it was a one-hand reaction. But Liam Delap should have placed it instead of trying to smash it. And, if he places it nicely, maybe it's another goal. And to your point, it wasn't just the only opportunity for Ipswich to do this. No. And they kept on trying to threaten that side. So that, again, we have to use context here. It's literally the first week with Amorim and players are coming back. But again, it's something that he's going to have to watch out, because I'm going to see specifically those teams in the low to the mid-table are going to try and do that. Force the errors and try and capitalize and counter as quick as possible, especially when you have three center-backs, and especially when you have three center-backs who are perhaps not even natural center-backs, right? So it's going to be intriguing to see as it continues. But hey, listen, again, a great save from Onana, and he did more than one as well, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I thought Ipswich's response to conceding so early, they had two options. They could have just folded and lose 4 or 5. No, that's not them. Not in front of a packed Portman Road. It's a special place to play football, from our dear friend Paul Mariner's days when they won the UEFA Cup under Bobby Robson back in the day. It's a tough place to go, and I thought the response was excellent. And 3 minutes after Delap was denied by a brilliant save by Andre Onana, they equalised, and it was a super goal. And Omari Hutchinson is someone who came on loan from Chelsea last season and lit it up. He really did in the Championship. And he buys a ticket, decides to have a go, and it ends up in the back of the net, albeit a little glance off the top of Mazraoui's head. But that, for me, tells me a lot. It tells me that this is a team, despite where they are in the league, that believes in themselves and still has that confidence of their own ability to think, you know what, I can score from here. And he did, and it was a stunner.
Yeah, and you know why? And we've already said it earlier, because they have a manager that knows what he's doing. And he knows exactly how to motivate and train them. And when you have, right, a home crowd that's behind you and players that know what their roles are, then it's going to work to their favor. You said one thing, and I said it earlier at the beginning of the season, out of those newly promoted teams, and I think we said it in this show, I really believe so much more in Ipswich Town than the other two, just because they can adapt during a game. And Omari Hutchinson, as well, is a player that, McKenna was very careful with him in the preseason, He didn't want to use him too much in those preseason games because he knew that he's going to be very important going forward. And that's exactly what he showed today. This is a very well-coached team. It's going to depend on what they do in things like today, what they do at home, if they can pick up points, because it's very tight down there at the bottom. But, if they can continue to push and be smart and adapt during 90 minutes, then anything can happen. A very good finish from Hutchinson.
Yeah, I'm just looking at United's next fixtures. I know you've done a feature for ESPN.
Yeah, well, that goes out the window, MD, because I had it a win here. So there you go.
Well, you did, and you also had some silly results as well. And yeah, so we'll not talk about that.
It's not over. It's been one game. We will continue with this.
Amorim's still unbeaten. I get that. But they've got Bodo Glimt in midweek. They've got, I think, 3 of the next 4 are at Old Trafford. So going back to wrap up to the opening question, I asked you, what did he learn from his players? The final question is similar, but it's what did he learn that he can now put into practice that worked, that maybe didn't, that deserves a bit more time, and I'm not going near that again. Is there anything obvious today that he can put into practice, maybe on Thursday in Europe or maybe next week when they face Everton at home? And I'm thinking more about the attacking side of things, the lone striker or the front 3. Højlund came on, Xerxes came on, Rashford scored but went off. What do you think he's kind of got from that game today that makes him think, yeah, that worked, but that needs tweaked for midweek and next weekend?
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest question for him. What to do up front. If I were him, just because he is that kind of man manager that wants to build confidence, I presume that he's going to stick with Rashford. Just because he got that goal, okay, it was frustrating as the game developed, but at least he got the goal and he knows how he's implementing it. It didn't really work as much for Xerxes or Højlund towards the end. I mean, granted, it can be a tricky situation coming in the second half, but also it's not just about that central striker, but who plays often, because Garnacho felt very uncomfortable at the beginning of that game. It wasn't until it opened up a little bit that he became a little bit more comfortable. So to me, I think just because he got that goal today, he's going to continue to elevate that into his mentality and get Rashford to continue to play there. Now, the question is going to be, what are you going to do, Rasmus Højlund? What are you going to do, Joshua Xerxes, to make sure that I choose you? Because, Amorim demands hard-working, old-school mentality type of strikers because there's that lone man playing off the 2 behind him. And Rashford started well, and he got that goal quick early. But I want to see what Højlund can do, as he goes later into that game. I presume Rashford will start again. And listen, we have to remember that Bodo Glimt game, it's Old Trafford welcoming Amorim for the first time. So there's going to be energy. There's going to be a lot of, resiliency from the home crowd. So it's going to be intriguing to see the lineup that he comes. And regardless of the fact that it's a Europa League as opposed to the next home game at Everton in the Premier League in the weekend, he's going to want all out. So I presume Rashford will start again, but, we'll have to wait and see, because now he also has a full week of training, no longer the international break to worry about.
Ipswich Town won, Manchester United won. It was the perfect start for Ruben Amorim. It didn't end as well as he'd hoped. Bye for now.